Welcome back, everybody, to the playoff second round here at SSL Premier. It is ByuL up against Solar in a ZVZ, and it has not disappointed up until now. All tied up at 2 going into game number 5.
That's right. It's all about game number 5 between these two. Winner will face Innovation in the finals. He's been waiting there since the round robin stage to find out who was going to join him. Didn't know if it would be Protoss or Zerg. Now he knows it's Zerg, but not which one. Is it going to be the heavy Mutalisk style Zerg ByuL? I think that's probably what he's most worried about. Or will Solar take this 5th game? You know, there's the extra edge to all of this. Innovation is just watching at home to see who his finalist opponent is going to be. So many matchups, or so many games have been mind game matchups for these two in this best of 5. That last game was really the first straight up macro game that we saw.
And Solar came out ahead. So going into Daybreak, another big 2-player map. Will definitely be cool to see who will come out on top here in the ZVZ. Let's jump into game number 5 on Daybreak right now. Welcome to Daybreak, and up in the top right, the red Zerg, it is ByuL.
And down here to the bottom left in blue is his opponent Solar, representing Splice. Okay, gas first. Oh, okay, so never mind. I got production tab cursed there for a second. Just a gas cancel. Coming out here, so it's an overpool versus regular opening. Not an overpool, but extractor trick. Yeah. Sorry, I'm using like the wrong terminology here. Rapid's giving me the shaky heads in the crowd. He's like, oh my god, well, with the terminology mistake. But it's okay, we're going to see hatch first for both. As you can see, a 1 mineral difference in terms of timing of the hatchery potentially. So, I mean, if you look at the resources tab where they're counting up, it's like hyper close. It's basically just 2 different ways to play the same style in terms of the extractor cancel, which will give you 1 more drone a little bit faster.
They did a lot of studies on that to see which one was better and all this stuff, but it eventually came out that basically it doesn't really matter. I know there's like one diehard extractor trick guy that's like, no, it's the best. But
what matters more is actually how if your drones get the perfect AI split at the beginning. Because sometimes weird stuff happens with that. Like that's actually more significant, as insignificant as it is. So there's just like it's kind of stylistic, which is really cool that there's almost like mathematically proven 2 really good ways to play the opening, and you can kind of choose which one you like more.
Yeah. But what will be the follow-up from these 2 players? They're both still mining a bit of gas. It looks like Solar actually started mining a little bit ahead, 12 gas, but not too much of a difference just yet. Doesn't look like anything crazy is going to happen unless someone wants to go for a big speedling all-in. But on a map this long, it's a little bit harder to do comparatively. When you think about how ByuL did it on Abyssal Reef.
Yeah, don't forget too, there are 2 watchtowers, and obviously the Overlords are going to see this coming a mile away on this map. Part of the reason why it worked so well on Abyssal Reef was because Solar went for that early Roach Warren, which again is just super weak against this Ling Bailing style that came out hyper aggressively from ByuL. So even with the long rush just on Abyssal Reef, that worked really well because of the opening. So ByuL is just going to bank gas, which begs the question, will he? He will. Questions answered.
Will he? Yes.
Double, or not double, the 2 base lair, that's the Korean way of saying it. From 2 bases, he will go lair, and from this point on, that's going to leave some timings available. He's going to start the Roach Warren now. Looks like that's going to be the timing he's looking for. Very much weak on this map compared to other maps because of the rush distance you described with the Roach Warren coming up here. He'll come in and scout at the same time.
Yeah, good scout, able to get in here. He actually scouts the 3rd base, so he knows exactly what he's going up against. And Wolf, he's taking control of my observer PC.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if it had been scouted. The 3rd hatch is up by ByuL. It has, so going to wall off at the front with the Evo chamber here. Evo chambers. So you see the Lings rolling up. So Queens have the tight wall. Starts the +1. you have to imagine the second, if he really does want to hit this timing very crisp with the roach speed, you have to imagine the second Evo chamber will be unused throughout this time. Starts the roach speed. Because armor is actually so insignificant for its cost in terms of trying to do a roach timing, because roaches do so much damage per attack. They're a high damage, low attack speed unit that the armor against enemy roaches or even zerglings is just really, I mean, it would be nice against zerglings obviously, but it's just, you'd rather have the more roaches. And the second evolution chamber here is just part of the wall, and he's not going to be like, aha, so I made a wall, so I'll get some extra value out of this. Not the case.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Solar rolls up. He sees the Rotorn moving around, jiggling around, so he knows something is up here. The lair coming out pretty soon, and he's just not allowing him to get a scout at all. Do see the roaches pushing out now. Really want to make sure those links don't get anywhere near close. But Solar will see that there's no third base, and he should be very wary at this point. Like, okay, why is your third base so late? What's going on? What kind of timing are you going for?
Sees the lack of a fourth gas, which I think gives him a pretty good idea this is not a fake into Mutalisk or anything like that, so that's very important for him to see. I don't think this timing is going to be as crisp as he would have liked it to be, because, or it's not going to hit as hard, it's not going to surprise ByuL, because ByuL is now obviously has the Overseer and had the inkling this was happening anyways, and back at home has a very competitive +1 attack timing, has his own roach count, he's already beefing that up. So, I mean, the roach speed is going to be the extra tool here.
It's just, Daybreak is such a long map, you know? It's going to take so long for ByuL to actually get all the way over to that third base. We do see the +1 of Solar is really, really close to finishing up. He'll have the Queens in position. And this is definitely not designed to kill Solar by any means, but he wants to put on some pressure, but it looks like Solar is very well prepared.
Yeah, roach speed could be a really good boon in terms of running across the map and also against, whoa, messed up that move command there.
He really wanted to kill the Queen, but lost the roach for it.
That was hyper aggressive.
Yeah.
So the roach speed is going to be great when you have the massive roach advantage and you can just get on top of the other roaches, but when you're dead even like that, it doesn't really gain you too much. Couldn't even get him that Queen without losing roaches there, so. +2 started at the same time for both, and this just means that Solar was able to mine more. He banked up a larger economy, or rather just mine more minerals, had the better economy for longer to bank those to continue building his roach economy, roach count. As he comes across now to try to hit this third base. One lone Ravager to try to turn the tides. A few Lings as well.
Better concave here for ByuL, and I think Solar has to be very, very careful coming in here. He's got that defensive advantage ByuL does. Looking to pick off as many roaches as possible. And as you guys will notice on the production tab, we have Burrow and Burrow movement on the way for ByuL. So he's looking to put on the harass and use this very big map to try to get into the bases and try to harass the economy of Solar. This is the first time we're seeing this in this series. I think the only player to really commit to this hardcore when these guys have played against each other was Solar.
Yep.
So ByuL mixing it up big time here as Solar goes for the Hydra Den first.
So we're going to see Hydras here, a little bit of a variation to the large amount of Ravagers we saw on Overgrowth. Again, the reason why you add Hydras and you'll just go pure Roach is because they will do extra DPS at range. And there's a lot of different things you can do with Hydras. For example, it's rare, but we have seen them used to be put into a Drop Overlord, which is very cost effective at this stage of Legacy of the Void, where you can just make a Drop Overlord anywhere at any time, morph it, drop a few Hydras, and we may see that, because that does so much damage to drone lines so quickly. But it really just makes the army beefier and stronger from range. And it's more cost efficient to do so with the Hydras than to morph Ravagers.
Yeah, and notice that ByuL, I believe, that he has hidden his roaches from Solar seeing the spikes. So I think Solar actually had no idea that Burrow and Burrow movement was coming. Could be wrong, but look at how much damage this is doing. He's picked off, I think, 4 Hydras now. He's going to burrow in here. This will be cleaned up shortly, but definitely forcing Solar to freak out a little bit and getting some very nice trades there with the Hydras is ByuL.
Yeah, he's actually immediately starting Overlord speed as a result. Doesn't want to deal with this anymore. The Hydras, again, are expensive, but as I said before, just like the Ravagers, it's not as tanky as the Roaches, so they can't really fight the Roaches in that small Hydra count versus small Roach count like we just saw. And so the Hydras definitely getting a few of them picked off. Gives a small lead to ByuL, who has his 4th base coming up a little bit later. but there's just no counter harassment coming out from Solar whatsoever. Doesn't even get the burrow movement. He's just on super defensive mode right now. And then this matchup, when you get to this stalemate-esque point where they're both maxed out, they both have this very heavy Roach army with a few Hydras sprinkled in. The one who gets the more harassment damage done, the one who affects the economy, affects kind of the background, the macro part of the game, is going to get an edge. And here we see it again. ByuL is sneaking in and going to assassinate this queen. That is going to affect the injections.
And you can see Solar does have a nice setup with a Overseer and a Spine at each base, but that's not going to protect your queen unless you're right on top of that movement to get it near that Spine. You have some units nearby to snipe the Roaches. And this is what we were hoping for. We're on Daybreak. We're going to 4 base versus 4 base. We got Lurker Dens on the way, Infestation Pit on the way for ByuL too.
So one of the other reasons why adding Hydras into your army, not just for the ranged DPS, is to be able to transition to Lurkers, which will give you massive AoE. Long bygone is the days of using Infestors after Hydras, where you'd have the Roach Hydra Infestor in late game ZVZ once you get to this mid-game maxed out army point. Those days are over. It's more cost efficient and safer to use Lurkers for that spiny range damage. You don't have to have energy in order to do it. And obviously you already have the Hydras in your army. You could just morph them into Lurkers. So cool idea here by both players. I do like it. You know, just don't really see ZVZ go this late on maps like this. So it's, for us, a rare treat to see the Lurkers. Nidus Network coming up here for Solar. Interesting.
I mean, you were talking about how he didn't do any harass this entire game. Maybe this is his opportunity to get in there and really abuse the very spread out bases of Daybreak. I think the Nidus Network is going to be perfect. Do you think about, you have to keep your entire army at the front of your 4th base, essentially, especially with Lurkers on the map. What if a Nidus goes into your back door, into your main, where your Hive is currently morphing? What are you going to do then?
He doesn't have vision of this either. This is something that Solar scouted long ago. And now he's actually harassing at the front, further drawing ByuL away. He's like, oh, I dare you to come up this ramp. Come at me. All right, here we go. He's going to see in just a second here. Lurkers coming out. He could actually decimate that larva.
Oh, and he can get the top of the ramp, too.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way ByuL gets into his main anymore. That just might be checkmate. ByuL's kind of hesitating as to what to do. You're not going to get up that ramp.
I mean, that's going to be, if you do, it's so cost inefficient. He's killing so much larva as well, which is one of the big things, that the resource that's important late game when you have these trades is to remax. So much larva killed. This Hive goes down, as you said, and he just has to let this go. You could argue this is kind of like losing the queen in chess, just losing your main base like this, losing your tech. And now we can just send these units back home. He's even hitting some of those drones, I think, up from the high ground. Yeah, look at that. Long range on these Lurkers. So now ByuL is forced to counterattack. It's almost forced into an all-in situation. Horrible positioning here for his units.
He gets, it looks like 1 Lurker on the high ground. There's 3 Overseers and way more units here for ByuL. It looks like he's done it. What a fantastic move. I actually meant Solar, but for Solar, what a fantastic move. Gets into the main, takes out everything, and essentially checkmates ByuL in one big swoop.
Yeah, that's it, man. He just gets to control the top of the ramp. He forces ByuL to just counterattack. Didn't have vision in his main base. It feels kind of anticlimactic that this incredible 5-game series will end now with this one move. Now trying to catch these units streaming out of the Nidus with almost pure Hydra, but again, they're not very tanky, especially not against Lurkers and Roaches together. And this is going to be the beginning of the end here for ByuL. Solar takes the series. GG. He will move on to the grand finals against Innovation.
What a close finals, back and forth, but Solar, the more consistent, able to win 2 in a row as he was down on his last match, and definitely deserves to go to these finals. You can see just how happy this guy is. Super confident, he's ready to go. He played his game, didn't look nervous in the least.
He could be the first player ever in SSL history to take 2 back-to-back grand finals. It's never been done before, and now he could be the one. ByuL, he came in composed today, perhaps showing a bit of nerves in the interview, but his flexibility, his transitions were very strong in the best of 5. Maybe a little bit weak on the openings, but in that last game, it all came down to just 1 Nidus Network. And as frustrating as it must be to lose to that, I mean, it was a great series. Anticlimactic, sure, in game 5 with the Lurkers on the ramp, but The Zerg that advances today is going to be Solar, and we are going to have that incredible ZVT finals. A lot of people predicting Solar to win this, you know, predicting ByuL. It was definitely tough to actually say who was the favorite. I don't know if there even was a definitive favorite. But Solar will now be interviewed, of course, on stage as he is going to face Innovation.
The back-to-back SSL finalist, Solar. Solar, those aren't tears in your eyes, right? You said my tears ended last season. He said during the match I was so nervous. It really caught me that ByuL is a really strong player. And it's a really rough ZVZ. Up until this point, all he had done is eat, practice, and sleep. And he's very happy to have achieved this result. So who were your practice partners in preparing for this match? I have a lot more friends than ByuL. So I practice with Dark, I practice with Rogue.
Yeah, he practiced with some Western players, he said, too.
A bunch of foreigners as well. So, yeah, I mean...
TLO, is it you?
In practice, I had about an 80% win ratio. But you can easily see that the tournament is always different. Strategically, he expected ByuL to go extractor first and spawning pool, but he never actually expected ByuL to rely on it so heavily. If you guys remember, definitely taking a couple wins with that. So on Frost, he considered that strategy, and he went for it, but unfortunately got scouted right up front. So he felt somewhat unlucky on Frost.
So he actually felt a lot of regret, he says, on the first set of how it went. And basically, he actually wanted to have faster layer tech, faster Hydras in that first game, but he convinced himself that that wasn't going to be the way he should transition. And he feels like it was the wrong choice, and that's why he struggled there in the first game, obviously against the Mutalists, and he didn't have the Spore Crawlers up in time. So Suyana says things definitely got a lot more intense going into Game 4. So Solar said basically, I was much more macro based in this series. I was much more macro focused, and so that's why I felt confident. And he says a lot of Zerg players didn't realize this, but I've been diversifying my builds quite a lot. I think he said he was specifically referencing games 1 and 3 for that. So perhaps being underestimated is what he's suggesting here. In Game 4, I knew that his hatchery was quite low, so I knew that, I think what he's trying to say is he knew the lair was late, so he has the faster Mulus, so you get the faster upgrades, etc. So that's why he decided to go for that on Newkirk. So, as we said, you know, he was able to identify that quickly, very early on.
이거 하늘이 준 우승이라고 봐야 되는 건가요? 정말 어떻게 그런 생각을 할 수가 있었는지 신기합니다. 이제 도중이형 박명호 선수에 이어서요. SSL 세 번째로 이회 연속 결승에
So,
진출한 선수가 됐습니다.
the fifth set game, which was a bit of a complicated answer for him, he said he kind of just came to him, not like in a dream, but he suddenly just thought of this when playing on Daybreak to go for the Nidus strategy to siege up the main base. So now that you're heading into the finals, what does it mean for you? And he said that basically he hasn't really had too many impressive results in 2017, so he kind of just wants to put that all in the past as he goes into this grand finals.
So what does he expect from Innovation in the finals?
이번엔 마페 한번 보도록 하겠습니다. 좋습니다. 아직까지 이제 강민수 선수가요 프리미어급 대회.
So Innovation seemed extremely confident,
그래서 이번에
and he wants to say to Innovation that he hopes that he remembers getting ultralisked by Solar in the round robin.
제가 테란이랑 결승이 처음 아니고 해외 대회에서 한번 했었어요.
So final words heading into the finals.
그래서 약간 테란전을 되게 준비를 많이 해야 될 것 같고 그래도 아직 시간이 엄청 많이 있어서.
He says, I've had a Terran finals in a foreign tournament, but this is just the second time. First time in Korea, so this is going to be, he's going to be trying very hard. He wants to win his second SSL back-to-back and try to take the victory.
That is his plan indeed. So a close best of 5 between ByuL and Solar. Daybreak, the climax there, anticlimactic, most would argue, with the Eureka build, the, okay, I thought of it suddenly, what if I just siege up his main base with the Lurkers? And it came to game 5, he had that opportunity, and that is how it ended. So, with this, our grand finals on Saturday will be between Effort and Free for Brood War, of course, and then for StarCraft 2, it'll be Innovation against Solar.
Yeah, that will be on Saturday. That's next Saturday, so don't come looking for the stream this Saturday. You gotta wait about 9 days. And it will also start at 6 p.m., so 1 hour earlier. So make sure you set that on your schedule, you tell your friends, make sure they're tuning into that. We also do have SSL Challenge this Saturday. It will be the last day, which decides, you know, who's going straight up into Premier, who will have to go into the fast lane to play those extra matches. I will be doing this with Rapid. This will be Classic versus Ryung, Beyond versus Deer, and then Hero versus TY.
Yep. So no live audience for that one. That is hyper important, of course, as we approach Fastlane, aka relegations, promotions for SSL to find out who's advancing. But what a series we had. Both playoffs going to Game 5 here for Premier, and both Game 5s were super intense. And I mean, I feel like we're going to have a great finals. The players that are challenged to meet Innovation, all of them were strong, but we have finally selected the best in Solar.
I think it's going to be a pretty close finals too. I think a lot of people are looking at Innovation as the big favorite coming into this one, but Solar, he's won multiple finals. This guy has so much experience. I think he might even be more relaxed than Innovation going into that one. He already beat Innovation in the best of 3 that these guys played in the round robin. I think it's going to be a really close one. I wouldn't give it to Solar, but I think it's probably going to be either 4-2 or 4-3.
I think so. It feels really reminiscent. You know, of course, Dark, an ex-SKT player, Innovation, ex-SKT, feels really reminiscent of when we saw Solar face Dark, and everyone was saying Dark's going to take this 100%. Dark was the massive favorite, but Solar upset. It could happen again.
Yeah, definitely could. So, guys, want to say special thanks to all the people that came to the studio, and special thanks to you guys out there watching from around the world. So that's going to do it for us. We will see you on Saturday next week for the finals of SSL, but until then, we'll have to say goodbye. See you guys next time.
has gotta change. This world has gotta change.